losses over the last 2 games, and both of these teams hoping for a win as the race for that second playoff spot in North America definitely heats up and tightens, whereas Cloud9 doesn't want to have to deal with that opportunity to not get auto-relegated slipping through their fingers. First ban going to Cloud9, they're going to ban Ying, and Glaz getting immediately banned from SK. That is a very strong targeted ban. How many times have we seen Laxing just cause so much havoc? And we saw Cloud9 play Bank against Mouse just on Friday, and it was an absolutely incredible performance with Laxing on that Glaz, so not really much of a surprise. They'll also take out the Echo as well. Yeah, and that's typically how SK plays this game. Their bans are usually very targeted, and you could see that already shining through. Another time we're going to see Maestro and Echo both banned on Bank. This actually, I feel like this happens quite a bit, where you want to get rid of that indirect denial and allow for an easier defuse plan. That's going to put a lot more weight on the C4 tosses from Cloud9 and then later SK, as well as the smoke. So they'll have to deny the defuse plan somehow as they go to the basement. Typically, you're going to see that server push happen from the attack, and again, more and more weight being placed on the C4. Clash going to be unbanned, so she will be brought here by Foxay. Number of teams being able to roll out the Clash. We've seen Clash played on Bank a couple times, off stream in the SSG matchup against SK. You saw an awful lot of Clash. Now, one of the counters that SK usually brings in almost every single composition that happens to pair very well with the Clash is a Capitao. But Jarvis is going to be on the Jackal this time. Interesting that SK will opt to go off of the Capitao. I wonder how much of that is possible role flexibility. We know Jackal works very well as an operator on Bank. It's a big map. Yeah. He's very good at being able to track roamers. He's got a good gun, got some soft destruction in the ITA, and of course brings smokes. But you saw Capitao get banned a couple weeks back, and to be completely honest with you, SK didn't look like the same team. They need that flexibility, I feel, and it's good to see them be able to get past that.
Obviously going to be well practiced, as that is the, I think one of the strongest SK traits is that when they practice hard on a role, on a map, they tend to be victorious. And as we've talked about, Bank is a comfortable map for both teams, so it's going to come down to which is more formidable here. Though, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not surprised, per se, by the Jackal instead of the Capitao, but it is going to be something they'll need to account for, the lack of those fire bolts, the asphyxiating bolts. Also, the fact that they're now going to need to clear out the ADSs before they can use their smokes. They do also have another set of smokes, of course, on Mint, who is playing that Montaigne, so we will have 2 fully deployed shields on both teams, able to gather information before the actual engagement comes. Foxay, the Clash playing by the server stairs, looking to delay, but SK seems very fixated on the main stairs. They're just starting to clear out some utility and establish control. They have isolated the roamers to the basement, and that all, of course, is due to the effectiveness of Jarvis on that Jackal, but also the fact that Cloud9 seemingly want to play this a little bit more passive.
Yeah, I mean, at least you've got Foxay positioned, and it's going to be shield versus shield, as the Clash and the Montaigne will square off against one another. A wise choice here for Mint to drop the shield for just a second to take out the ADS and possibly free up some projectile spam to go down those stairs. Mint is taking a little bit of damage, as of course that shield doesn't stop him from getting shocked. For just a second there, Mark will give his position away as the Jaeger will get towards the bottom of those server stairs. The Clash feeding a couple bullets, but of course that Riot shield is impenetrable. So not much damage done at all. Slowing down the Montaigne, the Jaeger playing by the server stack. Nyx is going to be there to try and coordinate with it. Pulls out that lifeline for just a second, possibly to try and knock the Clash out of sorts here. Oh no, Mint will go down to Mark. That's a big miss from SK, and Mark losing a lot of HP, and there will be Nyx to square it off, but still not anticipating losing your Montaigne in that position.
Yeah, the Montaigne, one of the most valuable operators on this push. You need him to cover fire, you need him to lay down 2 smokes, you need him very likely to help with the plant. And Mint, I think a bit of a blunder trying to get into that engagement with Mark head on. And Mark is definitely the one to come out of the victor in that fight, especially considering there's only 20 seconds left now for SK, and they still have to get past a mirror window and all of the anti-plant utility that C9 still has.
15 seconds to go.
The drop from Houghton will get a kill onto Goddess, which is 1 C4 off the board, but Retro will get the refrag. SK have managed to push in far enough to establish a position for a defuse plant, and Jarvis is going to now have to drop to cover that defuse plant, which will go down successfully. Laxing, as he gets eliminated, will not be able to deny the defuse plant. Retro gets another one onto Pojo. Foxay still in play, but he's not very lethal in this situation. Retro is going to be the one put with all the pressure on, and as he attempts to stick the defuse disable, he will be unsuccessful. Jarvis now contending with the clash, but he will be downed by Nyx from the server. And it's going to be a pickup because Nyx downed his teammate, now a 2 versus 1. Nyx will take out Retro. Good job there. He's got to deal with the Clash Shield, who whips out the SMG, goes for the pre-fire, and misses the shots. It looks like it's going to be a miss from both players, but it doesn't matter. There's no time left. Foxay does not have enough time to disable the diffuser, and we will see SK take the first round.
That wasn't actually Nyx who took him down. That was an impact grenade that was held onto by the Clash, somehow taking out Jarvis, but not taking out his teammate, which
kind of odd.
Kind of odd indeed. So overall, though, an interesting play, being able to down Jarvis there, and almost a bit of a slip-up. Good play around the server stack by Nyx just to be able to keep it going. I am amazed that when we looked at that clock and saw 15 seconds left with 1 smoke grenade being available for the attackers, that was a successful plant for SK. It seemed almost certain that C9 was going to be able to stick that one out. I'm wondering here if Foxay is going to 6th pick off the Clash. This is something that we've seen C9 do a couple times, but no, it looks like he'll stay with it. This was something they did a couple times in Montreal, was that they would opt to go for the Clash, 6th pick onto her, and then when they'd show her, they'd 6th pick off to her just to possibly try and get some variants or anything of that sort. SK Gaming is going to be running the exact same composition they ran last time around, and well, would you look at that? Cloud9 is going to go almost the same as well. Might be the same. Laxing played Legion last time around, correct?
I'm sure. But they are going to be doing a very similar setup. He did play, he played Legion last time around.
Yeah, if I recall correctly. So, a pretty convincing round from SK. I honestly didn't think they were going to be able to pull that one off. It did look like everything was going in C9's favor. He did play the Legion, because if you remember, he was situated by the one garage door, and that's when Jarvis dropped through the hatch and was able to take him out with the C7. So, but yeah, I was a bit surprised. That was overall a very good read from SK and good coverage. I don't think they knew that Poge was getting the plant down in the middle of the smoke, and that's something that Cloud9 banning the Maestro. I made mention of it to Foxay in USN, that they ban Maestro against Mouse, especially when Goddess is known for playing Maestro and does a pretty good job a lot of times, especially with the Evil Eye cams, though, as noted, C9's anchor play is not quite the strongest. I think banning Maestro is definitely going to hurt SK. You know that Nyx a lot of times will fluctuate between both Echo as well as Maestro. It'll be interesting to see what they use him on this time around. Usually they'll have him roam when that operator's not available.
Hurt SK, but only once they get to their defensive half. We still have to see Cloud9 make it through this first half before that even comes into play, and they won't have the Maestro through the whole round. Now, Jarvis will get the first kill onto Mark. So that's the Jaeger who did so much work in server, not able to do it any longer, which means, of course, Mint will still be in play on the shield. Still have Clash at the top of server stairs. A very ballsy play, honestly, from Fox. The fact that he's decided to stay here. His rotation is cut off because of the drop down. He might be able to make it back safe, but it's going to be dangerous for sure. He doesn't have any support from his teammates right now. So he will be inching his way back, and he will make it back to the site, but oh so narrowly.
It looked like they were trying to coordinate. Nyx had done this earlier on with Jarvis in the previous round, but he just looks the wrong way, and that's a free kill for Pojo, as Foxay just unable to move as delicately as he needs to. This is a situation last time where SK had struggled with setting a pace and getting the kills needed in order to open up this site, but they have done so quite literally in kills and also with their gadgets, as that exothermic charge opening up the one CCTV wall where you see the default plant spot going off. As stated earlier from yourself, Goddess is going to be the most important part of this defense, as she can lob out the C4, possibly get a kill onto the plant. She was felled pretty fast last time, as you saw a drop down the hatch from SK. It looks like they're poised to do that again. They've got about 30 seconds to go for the drop now, and there come the smokes. It's going to make it very difficult for Goddess. There's no Evil Eyes available, and there might not be a bulletproof cam either. Mint drops and just gets destroyed. He hits a goo mine and unable to keep that shield up. Pojo on the desk going for a plant in a very unconventional spot, but Goddess looks the wrong way. Great coverage here. Nyx fells Mint accidentally, and now Retro tags up onto the mirror window. He's going to take out Poj, but the rotate will come out, and this time around, SK will be buoyed by the fact they have an even larger numbers advantage. Hot holding the angle, just waiting, and daring Laxing to emerge into open area, and make no mistake, Hot and Cold will land that shot quite well. Retro sees that there's some fire from above. That's the bearing 9 that'll rattle over his head, trying to dare him to peek. SMG-11 tough to deal with, and it won't be Houghton, but it'll be his cousin, Nyx, a family affair, getting that final kill, and SK will stretch their lead. It's 2-0.
The big thing there, again, is that the Montaigne was still in play. Now, he didn't actually manage to do much in that round yet again, but he did get the smokes down, which allowed for SK to run disruption and made it so Cloud9 was unsure where the defuse plant was actually going. Goddess, as you noted, was peeking the wrong angle and unable to deny the defuse round in the end, especially considering she used her C4 earlier in the round to down Mint as he dropped. So, a nice play from SK. You can see the Montaigne was just trying to isolate the main door. I really like the way they're using Montaigne to try and wedge into that main door. However, again, didn't end up mattering because he got downed early. We've seen the Montaigne have a clear strategy in mind, and both times unable to execute it. Now, C9 unable to defend the basement. They're going to go back to go up to the top floor for the first time.
Interestingly, a site popularized and oftentimes credited to the team known as Flipside, now going under the name SK Gaming, for being able to defend CEO so well in conjunction with EG. These were two teams that had this in their particular arsenal. A lot of this hold relies on exactly where Laxing is right now. A site, or a part of the site that is referred to as Banana, with all of the open windows. We always mention it because it is a bit of an odd call. Marcio always shows it off. Well, look at that. It's kind of shaped like a banana. It happens to be both the exterior as well as the interior with those walls. This was a site that C9 excelled at attacking against Mouse, often pinning down the defenders inside of Banana, usually with the coverage of a Glass. Now, you can't quite take that same long-range fight with great ease because Glass is banned for both of these teams. But usually that requires an ACOG on defense. As you mentioned at the US broadcast on Friday, having an ACOG available is almost always a necessity on the site in order to fend off the immense amount of area in which the attackers can engage you from.
And as you can see, Cloud9 have opted not to bring any for some reason.
Very strange, and it was noted as well, Mouse did the same thing, and unfortunately for them, you end up having to cede a lot of ground because you know that you just don't have that same range on your weapon, as most of these attackers are going to come equipped with ACOGs. We saw the Hibana had an ACOG. Nyx has been running an ACOG on Zophia's rifle. Very likely that we're going to see ACOGs on most members of SK. Pojo playing a dangerous game on Rappel by lobby windows. Obviously, the sole hard breacher for walls. I mean, you got a Hibana on the board who can possibly do that, but she's likely going to be used on the castle barricades if they want to keep the soft destruction on the lifelines.
Mark playing a dangerous position inside of that elevator. We've seen this a lot, though, from defenders. It is an all-or-nothing strategy, but it can work out if you're trying to support your teammates by Banana. And you can see they have the impact hold to allow for that. Mint is going to have to walk to a crossfire if he wants to get this engagement, or just walk around to the windows, and he will do just that. Laying down some fire into Castle, he will down him, but Retro able to support, and Mint goes down early yet again before Hodden is able to finally secure the kill on the Castle. So it's not all lost for SK, but again, they lose their Montaigne. Mark has been lit up, if not downed, I believe downed, inside of the elevator, though it seems to have not been called out, as SK is still wary of that position. Now, there is an ADS in there, at least one, and it will delay as well as deny some of this utility from Nyx. But the drone finally coming out, he will hopefully detect that, yes, the Jaeger's down, and he can just make the push. Mark, though, has wisely dropped through the hatch and will be picked up by his teammate. Jarvis secures a kill onto Retro. That is an opportunity missed for SK. However, they still have the man advantage.
Yeah, so Pojo now up onto these main stairs here looking around. This is a good spot because you're going to have both Foxay and Mark retake. That means that you've likely only got Goddess on site, and she's going to have to contend with smokes going down. Poj with the ACOG staring over towards the conference area will plant by the sofa, and now SK is going to dare Goddess to emerge to try to toss a C4. Really the only way to stop this, but now Goddess is also dropped. Nobody from C9 is on site. They're going to have to retake. Goddess at the double doors towards conference as she'll try to walk in. Foxay gets spotted through the open wall, and that's Pojo after getting the defuse down. He'll pick up a double to end things off, and I mean, I don't know if SK just stacks up well to C9, but so far this season, it's SK up 9-0 over Cloud9 in this series, and 3-0 in this match in particular.
Yeah, Cloud9 have still yet to win a round against SK. Now, granted, the last time they played against SK, as we've touched on, was a long time ago, but still, you gotta get around at some point, and it doesn't look like Cloud9 is having any luck. They are going to go to Tellers, so they're testing for a weak attack somewhere. After defending the basement twice, being unsuccessful there, and now defending CEO, being unsuccessful there, they're going to just pull out everything. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this, that they go to open area.
I mean, you've got to give open area a whirl. The good thing is that the two operators that you always lean upon for open area are both available, Castle and Mira. You know, Rogue is a very good team in NA that you'll often look to for those open area holds, and they revolve very heavily on expanding the entire site using your Mira windows for the long-range viewpoint, and then the castles to keep everything nicely contained. These are available, and Cloud9 has run a Mira every single time. They're going to run a castle for the second round in a row. They 4-1 the castle downstairs, which is a smart idea. It's not always often that you'll see a castle be run when you're going down to CCTV. But I mean, this is Cloud9 at the moment throwing everything at the wall. And keep in mind, Cloud9 has that track record of success here on Bank. So it is strange to see them down and trailing earlier on, as this early on to SK.
They have done a lot of things right. For example, Mint on his Montaigne Shield play has not been able to do a tremendous amount of work with the operator. Cloud9 has just been so adept at shutting him out. At the same time, though, maybe it's that they're focusing too much on that. They're getting distracted as to the other prongs of SK's attack, but they just haven't seemed to have any chance of winning any of these rounds. Laxing will take out Jarvis with a runout. So we've seen this a number of times before, and he's expecting the pre-fire, but Mark, well coordinated for Cloud9 on the window in CEO, expecting the push from SK. And that's a two-man advantage almost for free because of a well-conducted play from Cloud9. I love the coordination here.
It doesn't look like there's going to be coverage for Mark this time around, and the Valkyrie gets felled very, very quickly as Nyx just pops around the corner. But yeah, this is the best round that we've seen so far from C9. Great streak of coordination there, and as well, one set of those smokes taken off for SK, which means that you've just got Mint left, who usually dies pretty early on, so he needs to continue to truck forward and stay alive in order to help his team here.
That was a pre-established strategy from Cloud9, and you really got to love those little tricks that can be brought out to give your team an edge. Now, SK trying to clear out the top floor, and seems like the Cloud9 roamers have decided to just, hey, push down into the site. That's going to allow Nyx to open up the mirror windows and start applying that pressure vertically. But you can only do so much as Zofia. It would have been nice to have the Jackal still in play, use that secondary shotgun to open up more angles. But because the Montaigne is the big factor here for SK, the thing that they're going to need to lean upon, they're just going to go for a main Teller's take. And that makes a lot of sense, especially after opening up that mirror window. Mira herself playing inside of Tellers on a very dangerous angle. Will be spotted out by Pojo Man and called to Nyx.
So, I mean, it's a still winnable situation for both teams. Definitely advantage in Cloud9, as 30 seconds means that we end the part of the round where you're going to need to start your execute. A 2 spotted on the drone there for SK, and Pojo is trying to possibly make it work, but can't find either of them as wisely. C9 peels off. Goddess has been downed, and Mint very low on HP. He holds that diffuser and will have to go full turtle mode. Mark from above will get spotted. That's Nyx in a good position to possibly see him, but will have to fight the railings, an adversary that you often don't want to find yourself in an engagement with. There's also a kill from Foxay there, as now Nyx gets down, and Pojo, in basically an unwinnable situation, tries to belly crawl his way in through the small opening created by C9, and Foxay playing on marble stairs finishes it off. That's the first round for C9 against SK so far this season in Pro League, and it comes at a pretty good time. Still, SK within striking distance of taking the first half 4-1. We'll see what things shake out here, and the first successful defensive victory will push C9 back downstairs to CCTV for the 3rd time, a site that they haven't been successful on at all.
Min gathered a lot of information for his team in that round, but it just seemed like SK was unable to utilize that information properly. Going into the engagements, they were not as coordinated as they had been in the past, and I think they were just a little bit befuddled after losing 2 operators early on. So again, props to Laxing and Mark for that well set up strategy. Now, we are going to see Capital brought out here from SK, I believe for the first time, one of their most used operators. I think SK is the Capital team. They also still have brought the Montaigne, so they're leaning heavy on the smokes here on this basement attack, and I'm also interested to see how those asphyxiating bolts are going to play into the round, because we always see the best placements from Jarvis.
Yeah, and I mean, it's about time that we see it come. I mean, there's no clash on the board for him to really use those asphyxiating bolts on, but hey, it's still a good strategy overall. SK showing some versatility here, which I think is pretty important for them. As I said before, when you banned out the Valkyrie as well as the Capital against SK in the previous matchup, they didn't look like they were quite the same team. Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen SK trail and fail to be able to win, and it's also not the first time that we've seen, or SK lead and fail to win, and this isn't the first time we've seen Cloud9 trail and come back to win. Yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. Of course, talk about that Coastline match against Mouse. That was a draw that SK, I think we talked about it then, they weren't supposed to get. And now that they have their operators, they find themselves in a pretty significant lead. So, the setup for Cloud9, you could see heavily shifted. They are, I think, a little bit focused on those plant spots that SK have been using, which is over on the desk. They're setting themselves up properly to deal with that. I like the shield that's been going onto the main stairs from Cloud9. It's always tripped up SK. Like, they've always pushed these main stairs, isolated the main stairs, eaten a Legion trap. Every single time they take a goo mine to the foot of the Montaigne, and then they just push elsewhere. So that's actually been, I think, a good thing for Cloud9, that they've been able to slow down the push, if nothing else. And you can see SK is not really worried about using utility on the shield. They don't want to clear it, but it is causing less information for SK. There's potential for a peek down the stairs, maybe, hey, see what's going on here, but it's not going to happen. And I like that wall that Cloud9 has erected.
Oh, almost a kill for Hot in there on those spiral stairs. Once again, that deployable shield will be a bit of a hindrance, but oftentimes will go just simply vaulted over. Some information from the Valkyrie of Foxay will be taken away from him, as that's one of those black eye cams getting shot out, just trying to watch those marble stairs towards the bottom half. You see the goo mine being marked as well, just on the other side of the deployable shield, likely being seen by SK. Mint trying to get to towards the back of the server stairs here with the Jaeger, and, well, would you look at that. The 3-speed can easily maneuver around the shield and try to possibly play to the fact that the Montaigne is not that big, or is not that fast. But Mint will finally be able to get a kill and walk away from an engagement without a death in his hands, and he'll start things off here. Just 45 seconds left, poised to possibly toss out a smoke grenade. You saw behind the CCTV 2 ADSs there. That's some utility that's not going to be available on site to deal with the smoke from SK.
Jarvis still has those bolts, though, so he could place it even regardless. The asphyxiating bolt going to be useful here to try and dislodge the Mira, but Jarvis will actually go down early. Nice C4 from Fox through the drop down, And that's going to be a lot of utility that was supposed to come out just now that will not happen. Here comes the drop in the last 10 seconds. Mint's trying to isolate the main door, but he's unsuccessful. Laxing will push through. He will get the kill, but the frag has already happened for the Legion. Hodden also pushes into the hallway. It's all up to Goddess now, and she will get 1 kill and win the round by being positioned in the middle of the site. And Cloud9 will salvage another one. They do lose the half, but they will get 2 rounds at least.
Everything going in SK's favor there. Absolutely everything, but nobody watching Nyx to get the plant down after he's tagged in to start the defuse. And Goddess, as you said, just sitting in the same spot that she'd played in a number of times on CCTV, by the desk, behind the bomb with the smoke over top of her. She gets the kill. And that's a huge clutch impact frag. And, you know, these are the kind of things when we talk about the scoreboard not always being a good representation of how much you can contribute. That was almost an entire round being won by 1 player and 1 kill, when in all reality, it probably should have gone SK's way. On the scoreboard, there's no way to really give that importance. But that's why we have to try to discern it from all the chaos and madness that happens in every single round. So Goddess making so that SK is not on the precipice of getting 1 point from this matchup, and making it so that now C9, if the attackers have an advantage here on Bank, they're in pretty decent position to possibly be able to send us to another draw for SK.
The Teller's defense from Cloud9 was the only round that I think they deserved to win, and that they managed to win.
Yes.
The basement defense that we just saw from Cloud9 really should have gone SK's way. SK made a couple of mistakes, sure, but they had the advantage and the momentum throughout the entire round. Goddess just managed to salvage it in the end, and it was all due to the little, like the very little time. But there's 2 factors I think that also that contribute. It's Goddess's play, and then also Foxay's C4 through the drop down. That C4 took out Jarvis, who was on the Capitao, and Jarvis only managed to get down, I believe, 1 smoke bolt of all 4 of his bolts. So all that burst utility that they were relying on from the Capitao just wasn't there. And if it had been, it would have denied the rotation from Goddess through the rotation hole that she had made earlier in the round, because that's definitely where one of the asphyxiating bolts would have gone. And it probably, as a result, would have been an SK round. But, again, C4 landed where it should have. Great job to Foxay, great job to Goddess. And now they're still in this match. If that half had ended 4-1, it would be, I think, an SK match through and through.
So apparently the game has crashed here, but I don't...
We're a minute in.
We're a minute in. I don't think this is grounds for a rehost. Usually the way that the rehost works is typically it's the first 15 seconds of a round.
Yeah.
And a big part of that, too, is that because it's unfortunate that rehosts need to happen from time to time for people whose games crash, computers crash, internet crash, active gods, period. But ultimately, the biggest issue is that a lot of times that the defense end up in a pretty unenviable position because the attackers usually know what operators they have, what their setup is looking like, etc.
Yeah.
Anywho, it looks like it will just play on here unless we get a different call from the admins for the time being, but that's a pretty big loss to lose Goddess here on the attack. Still lots of utility for C9 and a possibility for them to be able to walk away with this victory. Laxing on the blitz, you've got 4 smokes, 2 sets of them on both Retro and Laxing. You've still got the fragging potential on both Mark and Foxay, and then the hard destruction on Foxay too. So all said and done, C9 still has plenty of tools at their disposal, but they're going to find themselves at a disadvantage.
Laxing may be setting up for a drop, just trying to gather information, but that was a dangerous drop if so. Looks like the smokes are going to go down, and here comes the push. He might be trying to go for a B take, maybe over towards the elevators. Either way, he's going to be right in front of the defenders, and he will go down. Podroman finishes off Retro as well. Foxay will get Mint, but as Nyx gets that final kill into the Blitz, he will also down his opponent, and Houghton will be there to protect him, leaving just Foxay in the 1 versus 3, and a possible reset here unless Foxay pushes the issue. He will, but he misses the shot. Now he's waiting for his enemies to peek him. He knows he has at least a 1 versus 2. He will flash himself, and Podroman will get the final kill. SK take the very first round on this defense.
In the barbed wire gun attachment play, there you go. Looks a bit like, oh, and it's got the drill in there too.
It's got where does the drill come from?
Or not the drill. That's the nail gun.
I didn't actually.
For reinforcement.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know how the game in the operators, they have you know,
a lot of stuff.
They carry all their equipment. They carry 2 huge metal reinforcements. They carry a nail gun.
About as strong as a moose, these operators.
Yeah, they've really got a lot of things that they bring with them.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because they all look so slender. It's like you don't even know that it's just like...
The strongest people in the world.
Like you got a nail gun.
They don't...
They
don't compete in the strongman competitions, but they would win easily.
They could.
They could.
Quite well.
Yeah.
So it's a round that we need to break down. It did look like Cloud9 just kind of decided that we're down numbers. Let's just rush. You know, they tossed a smoke down through the one hatch inside an open area, tried to drop by the metal railings in vault.
Yep.
Tried to run through, couldn't do it. Laxing gets down by the castle. Can't do too much.
I have to say, I don't know if there's a right call on the rush that they decided to go for.
It wasn't a castle, was it?
There was a castle. Yeah, the castle was downed.
Right?
So
it was a castle?
I want to say it was Nyx. But there was a castle that was downed by the elevators. But the overall choice of the push there from Cloud9, I think, was wrong. They decided to push into elevators with their blitz instead of possibly Red Hall. If they could have gone to Red Hall and isolated the vault, could you imagine? Vault, you know, blitz coming from behind in vault. That is the ultimate crossfire position for any attacker. If you, as an attacking team, can make your way into vault and get control of that, then you have, like, the round is yours. You have to, if you play it right, the round is yours. So instead, they pushed their blitz into an open air area. He got downed easily, and you know, the wrong call ultimately. But I mean, you're down a player already. It's maybe not going to matter.
While we wait for everybody to come in here, we might have a break ready, or we can just possibly soldier on. It does appear that Goddess is in the lobby, who's the one who had the issues connecting in the first place. So I don't mind just chit chatting with you, my great friend, talking about the great matches. Did you know that this day last year was the day that I landed in Poland to start casting Pro League?
No.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I don't remember these things. I had to write down his birthday in my phone to remember that one.
It was a special moment. Actually, it was a. Don't need to write. Don't you got phone on broadcast.
I'm trying to figure out what your birthday was.
Oh my gosh.
See, I'm not good at remembering special dates.
Doesn't matter.
He does it. He does it for me.
It's been a year since I've actually met you, because the first time I met you in person was when you came to visit me when I was in the hotel, and I had just landed. I was extremely jet lagged. It was in a foreign country, foreign continent.
I remember that. It was snowy.
And
very snowy.
It was pouring rain.
Yeah.
You don't remember it.
No, there was snow. There was snow and rain. It was both.
Snain.
I'm pretty sure.
There was snain.
I'm pretty sure.
Snow rain. It did hail today, actually.
Did it?
So yeah, it did.
There was a thunderstorm, like one of the loudest I've ever heard, just a few hours ago.
Hailed today. I was sitting at my computer, and I have a direct line of sight onto the windows, and I was marveling at the hail. So yeah, 1 year ago today, I stepped off a plane in Katowice. I got a taxi. I met you. We went for food, and 24 hours from then, I casted NA Pro League. So depending on what time it goes live at, Latin America will be my 1 year anniversary of casting my very first match of Pro League.
Nice.
So it's been nice to be here. So
high five. There you go.
That's a great high five.
You did a year.
So 1 year here. Hopefully they're not
I don't know how long I've been here.
About 2 years.
Maybe.
Well, you started when? You started
middle of season 3.
And season 3 would have been probably like October, November of 2016, because you did the Invitational in 2017 in February, and that wasn't your first LAN?
No, my first LAN was the season 3 finals.
Yeah, so that would have been...
I've been to all of the major LANs except for the DreamHacks, but the first one I casted was the season 3 LAN finals.
So probably would have been October or November of 2016 would be my guess. So yeah, you're on almost 2 years as well, if not already at 2 years.
It's been a long one.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, speaking of time flying, we've got almost everybody back in the lobby here. We're just waiting on one more guy, so we should have it going pretty soon here. The match that we've seen play out so far, 4-2 SK, it's looked pretty decisive. I have to say, again, the only round that Cloud9 have managed to win and that looked decisive was the Tellers defense.
Round number 4.
Yeah, and the other one, they won round number 5. But all thanks to some really nice play from Goddess and Foxay, and just some, gotta say, a lot of luck. A lot of luck. In the middle of all of your opponents, still managing to survive. But other than that, SK has looked in dominant form, and they're already 1 point away from guaranteeing a tie, if not a win.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for Cloud9 what happened in that previous round. losing somebody a minute into the round,
Yeah.
probably not, or thereabouts, probably not the best way to start things off, especially for somebody like Goddess, who typically plays a pretty pivotal role in terms of the gadget and resource that comes on attack. Usually Goddess is not fulfilling the fragging role on attack, so you've got to suspect that they had to completely revamp their plan of attack because they didn't have her utility available to the team. And I think that is the bigger focus, and that's the bigger drawback here, is that it's not even like they had to deal with less fragging potential. Of course, Goddess is capable of fragging when need be, but she's usually going to be the last person on that team's hierarchy to get the kills.
Yeah, and just in general, they looked a little disjointed without that one part. You know, sometimes that can happen, whether it's a support player or a fragger, no matter what. You know, if you lose somebody who's integral to the strategy, then it's just all going to fall apart. And that's probably why we talked about this earlier. It's probably why they decided to go for a rush strategy. They had a minute left to continue to set up their attack, but they just were like, hey, let's go for it. What the heck? Let's see what happens. And it didn't work out great for them. Now, apart from that, just again, in general, it's just looked like SK they're in the driver's seat right now.
Yes.
They are definitely the ones who seem to be in control of this match. And Cloud9 is going to have to break free of that if they have any chance of getting a draw or a win. And if they want to get a win, they're going to have to win every single round from here on out, and that's 4 in a row.
Yeah. I mean, there's a sign of a good team is how you take the anger and how you take disappointment, and you translate that into success.
Yeah.
Cloud9 finds themselves 2 losses in a row in Pro League. They probably shouldn't have lost both those games. They turn around, they stomp Mouse. I mean, technically, they went to 13 rounds in the U.S. Nationals.
Okay.
And then won 6-3 in the second matchup. Not exactly a stomp. I mean, it was a pretty convincing win, especially on the second map, which happened to be Bank. But how do you persevere now against SK? SK, 2 ties in a row. With the way that team's been playing, you got to imagine that they are just as hungry to prove that they are not a team that ties teams that in the standings they are well ahead of.
Yeah.
So they turn around and they come out and they're banging on all cylinders right now. And they have the edge over C9. Both these teams find themselves in similar positions where they are both currently underperforming in comparison to what people expect of them and what they probably expect of themselves.
The big salvage, though, is on SK's side, because instead of losing these matches that you expect them to win, they're drawing them. So instead of getting 0 points out of 2 potential wins, they've gotten 2 points, whereas Cloud9 have gotten 0 over the last 2 weeks. So there's a lot more on the line for Cloud9, especially if you take into account their standings. I mean, Cloud9 is in the auto-relegation spot in 8th place right now. If they keep losing, they're going to get auto-relegated. And then SK is in 2nd place right now. And if they manage to get a win here, then they're going to propel themselves up to 1st place. So there's a lot more pressure on Cloud9, I think. But SK at the same time needs to start getting these wins that people expect them to get.
Everybody's all loaded in, and here we have it. Now with SK being successful on Locker's CCTV, they have to go to another single site, and it looks like they'll lock in Staff and Open Area. So we will see all 4 sites here on Bank get some level of play. SK will do it without a mirror, which is interesting to watch happen, but they will have Handily available. A castle as well as a Valkyrie. So they might not need the mirrors if they can use the Valkyrie to give that work. And of course, SK is a team that on defense is very reliant on that Valkyrie to give them the information they need and coordinate around it. Similar to the way that they use Evil Eye cams or the Yokai drone, depending on how operator bans shake out for Nyx to play one of those 2 operators.
Yeah, Valkyrie and Capitao are the 2 SK operators. You know, one for attack, one for defense. And that's just, I think, a trait that they've had for a while. We talked about it. When they get banned out, it can be pretty hard for SK to play well. Now, holding Open Area as your secondary site, a little bit different than what Cloud9 were doing. You saw Cloud9 did everything they could to avoid Open Area. They went to the basement twice, lost that. They went to CEO, lost that. And then they went to Tellers, finally getting a win, and a convincing one at that. And then the basement again, and barely, just very, very narrowly getting a win. No Open Area play, but here, SK dives straight into it. We'll see what their strategy is. It looked like they were relying on what we've seen before a lot, which is the north side of this first floor, where you're going to push over to Tellers, you're going to push over to Archives, you're going to try and just open up the site, go for a roam and delay the push that is pretty inevitable from the front door from the main lobby, which you can see what Cloud9's setting up to do right now. But they're going to have to confront those castle barricades, the player inside of Elevator Hall, which has been droned out. I believe that's Nyx. And all the other traps that SK has set up.
And here you have Goddess playing that Thermite role, which is what Wade said is she's more of a utility-based operator, and you have Foxay on the Hibana as well. Running both of these two hard breachers on Bank is really not that odd. Same with what we usually see on Clubhouse, too, if they both remained unbanned, mind you. Now, Laxing cannot play on the Glaz, but he sure as hell can play on the Blackbeard, and that's a pretty darn good operator to take long-range engagements from, especially with that rifle shield as the damage drop-off will mean that you need to sustain quite a bit of damage to that shield for it to break. Right now sitting at 50 HP on the shield.
Yeah. We've talked about it in the past, Laxing, one of the best Blackbeards out there.
Yes, and very, very formidable at one point, especially I would say probably the best in North America for quite a period of time. Of course, Retro is also capable of playing that Blackbeard, but they both play it very differently. Laxing usually far more aggressive on the Blackbeard, takes a more active fragging role, whereas Retro typically will hold angles. Very similar to a K9-esque style of deal. But there you go, first frag is going to be Foxay. He's going to spill the blood of Pojo inside of Archives. That's a big loss to the castle there, and Nyx has taken some damage too. And C9 getting very, very close to being able to draw out SK. Now this could be SK being spread a little bit too thin here, as there's not a whole lot of bodies surrounding the site. Mark is going to find the second kill for C9 onto Mint. Those were both members of SK that were playing inside of Archives, as I'd mentioned. And you lose the smoke. That is really not that great.
Yeah, I think this defensive setup from SK is honestly not fantastic for their needs, and you can see there, Nyx is actually going to let Foxay walk into kitchen before getting Goddess, but still, his teammate will go down because of the negligence of this Valkyrie, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be any more luck for Nyx as his second peak comes out, and Laxing will finish off hot, and so that was the most one-sided round we've seen so far in this entire match, and it comes the hands of C9. So potential for recovery. Also, though, maybe just SK's setup on open area not being great.
Yeah, that was... I didn't like a lot of what I saw out of SK there, and I mean, trying to dive into it too much, SK put a lot of emphasis on holding that Archives area, but then they conceded most of tellers to both the Hibana and the Blackbeard. And you keep your smoke inside of there with no real option to try to get back to open area successfully. Either that or just a great read from C9 to cut it off. SK Gaming really were gifted around ahead of time, and then they turn around and promptly toss one away, and that's a really good entry by Cloud9 to be able to take up all that ground and walk away with the victory. So, SK is not going to roll the die on open area yet again. It is oftentimes regarded as the weakest site here on Bank, though there is some flexibility between those four sites. Instead of going upstairs to CEO, SK is going to go with Teller's Archives. Usually known as the second most played site here on Bank, though CEO has seen quite a spike as of late. And honestly, I'm going to say, I'm a little surprised that we don't see SK going upstairs to CEO, because usually the biggest counter to a CEO defense is a Glaz. He's been banned. So, I mean, unless they're saving it to possibly pull it out next round, but next round, SK reopens lockers and CCTV and they can go back downstairs.
And if C9 manages to win this round, it's going to be an even split. It looked like a pretty one-sided match considering the outcomes we were getting earlier, you know, and regardless of the score, it just seemed like SK were the ones who were on point and Cloud9 were struggling. But after that last round, there's potential for a recovery, and a really strong one at that. It was just such a one-sided affair in Cloud9's favor. Now, it looks like we might have a main lobby take, which is pretty typical on this defense. The beauty of the main lobby take is it's so easy to isolate the roamers, and by that I mean, hey, look, Laxing repelling on the front door, he can deny the roam from above, just by himself. And you don't even need to push your line over to stock, but they're going to double up on those potential roamers on the top floor, try and clear them out. And Pojo has actually been forced down if he was ever up from that elevator through the drop down.
Retro excelling at doing exactly what he does best. Sit, hold an angle, and wait for your opponent to make a mistake. You've got Laxing also getting the read that Pojo is positioned inside of elevators, and would you look at that? They'll send out some drones to confirm the castle is still in there. But, interestingly enough, Nyx is sitting at the double doors to open area, and depending on what happens, could possibly get somebody from C9 should they push. Retro, who was holding that tight angle, falls off, will eat a lot of bullets before turning around and flicking right onto Nyx. Pojo still just holding this angle. Could possibly be completely asleep. Tries to exit from the elevator, gets flashed and gets found by Laxing, and C9 now putting together two very, very good rounds on their entry.
Everything going C9's way in that clear, and even more so as Houghton peeks into Laxing. It's a 2 versus 5 with so much time for the attack. This is the perfect situation to get another round win and even things out. Mint will be trying to hold on to Archives, but he'll be forced into the small office. Retro will go down, so Jarvis fighting back, but you can see the SK defenders are so clumped up right now. As Mint starts to try and alleviate that somewhat, he will push over to the main hallway, but it's not going to matter as the defuse plant is going down. Gas canister will miss its target, and Jarvis gets shot through the wall by Laxing. Mint now in a really tricky spot, and the likelihood of success here is getting slimmer and slimmer as every second ticks away. Looking for an angle, trying to find his opponent, but he doesn't check the default one of the flank hold, and Laxing will get the kill. Cloud9 take another round. That's 2 in a row.
4 kills for Laxing and 4 rounds for C9. And they have looked so fierce on their entry here. SK just disjointed and getting tracked down very, very well as C9 is dotting their I's and crossing their T's with that drone play. Being able to then pinch the roamers. It's been a really good 2 rounds for C9 so far. Very methodical in the way that they've entried. And they've been doubling up. Especially Laxing and Retro's play in particular on that round, and then previously Laxing and Foxay's play. So a lead that has now been squandered by SK, and it looks like we're possibly staring at yet another tie for SK or a win for C9 here. It seems like a lot of that wind has exited SK's sails and found themselves boosting up Cloud9.
It might be the case that this is simply an attacker-favored map right now. I mean, all of the lethality, all of the ferocity we were seeing from SK on the first half when they were attacking has now seemingly shifted to Cloud9. And nothing really happened to cause that shift per se, other than the side swap. So it seems as though it is just an attacker-favored map in this matchup. Both teams being much more comfortable on attack. Now, SK is going to get to go down to the basement again, and this is the only place they've been able to successfully defend. If they cannot successfully defend this, of course, it'll be 5 points for Cloud9, and they will guarantee a draw, if not a win. But also, on top of that, we're either going to set ourselves up for a draw or just a win in Cloud9's favor. Because, again, judging by these attacks, it's looked better and better for, well, the attacking side. And even if you're going on to your team, your opponent's preferred site, you're still going to be pretty used to it after your 3rd attempt. So SK definitely need to get the win here, but even if they do get the round win here, where are they going to defend then to get the victory and the map overall?
Yeah. So, if you're a fan of C9, rejoice. If you're a fan of SK, you should start to worry at this point. Because this has been the story of SK as well over 3 days, or over 3 play days now, where they've looked like they're in pretty good position to win and haven't been able to pull it out. And that is the biggest issue right now, is that mental dexterity, that mental fortitude that you need in order to hold on to your lead, keep it, and then work through it is very, very important.
Okay, then.
The bit of a visual glitch here is that hatch has actually been broken, but in our perspective, it definitely looks like it's still intact, so Retro can see through it quite clearly.
And he will get a Jackal scan off because of it. Now, he's also going to be putting pressure on those main stairs, trying to call out for his team. Houghton just waiting in the red hallway for somebody to peek his drop. You can see it's just a slow setup here for Cloud9. They're aware that they've managed to get all of the roamers pushed down to the site. Laxing will take out Nyx to the first kill, going to Cloud9 yet again. And that's a garage push. This could actually be a huge component to the Cloud9 take. as they take control of Garage and a Crossfire because of it.
And Laxi can just consume games when he's on. We saw this in DreamHack Montreal. He was integral to that team playing so well, routinely breaking double digits in so many matches. And when he comes equipped with that face shield on, you know, he's able to sustain quite a bit of gunfire, especially in that fight against Hot and Cold in the last round. That MP5 is pretty good, but, I mean, you shoot him in the head 3 times, that shield will break, you're dead by the time it does.
Yeah, Laxing is scary when you put that shield in front of him, and he just knows he has the advantage and can take any fight he wants, and he's also really good at gauging those fights.
Now, you've got Hibana upstairs getting the hatches inside of open area. You've got Mark on those marble stairs. Laxing just trying to see if there's any tracking here, possibly through lockers, as he's going to aim towards the big double window. This is a good position for him to play in, as he'll be very unexposed and possibly able to capitalize on somebody trying to move. But he'll just walk right in, and there's no coverage. But yes, there is! Pojo is there to shut him down. Hotton from Retro as the Jackal will drop, and a C4 is going to need to get tossed out. It'll sail over the head of Mint and catch Goddess. Pojo finished off from the lifeline of Mark, but that C4 is a little bit too late. C9 in great position once again in a 2v3. Mint pulls out his cardiac sensor, but no, looks the wrong way, and Jarvis in a 1v3 will need to clutch, but Foxay with the double kill, and Cloud9 on the match point. This was all SK's doing, and C9 have snatched victory from the jaws of defeat so far, guaranteeing themselves at least 1 point, and SK will fight for the draw.
So that's more than Cloud9 has managed to get over the last 2 weeks, just confirmed. But also, SK, if nothing else, they're going to get a 3rd draw. And they really needed a win here. This is the 3rd match in a row for SK that you point a finger at and you say, SK should probably win that. Judging on how they've been performing through this season, SK should probably win that. And it's just not happening. So, SK now fighting for that 1 point that they do need to maintain their position, and Cloud9 on the other hand vying for 3, which they want because they are still in that auto relegation spot, and they need everything they can get.
Yeah, this is where it gets demotivating as well for a team that has held the lead for most of the match and then finds themselves, because there's no overtime, that the best you can get is 1 point. Now, I mean, you need that 1 point. This guarantees that EG for today will at least hold on to that lead, because SK is not capable of winning. At best, SK can walk out of here with 15 points, whereas EG is currently sitting at, 18 points, whereas EG is currently sitting at 20 points. So SK cannot retake the lead in the standings. The best they can hope for is 2nd. But the bigger issue becomes, you've got 2 teams in both Rogue and SSG set to play next. They're sitting in 3rd and 4th with 17 points. A victory there will push SK out of the playoff spot, which obviously is not where they want to find themselves, especially not against 3 teams over the last 3 weeks that SK really probably should have beaten, as I've said, especially with Cloud9 sitting in 8th. That is a major problem for their roster.
I mean, I look at this right now, and after Cloud9, SK have to play Space Station, who've been looking better and better. They have to play Noble, which could potentially be to their advantage. But then, at the last 2 matches of the season for SK, they play against Evil Geniuses and then Rogue. So it's just going to get harder and harder for SK to get wins as this season continues to play out. But, you know, that's all in the future. Here in the now, they need to salvage 1 point from this match and successfully defend the basement, which again is the only place they have been successful on, but they have a 1 out of 2 success rate here, so it's not perfect. Now, they are going to fall their roamers back very quickly. Only I want to say a minute wasted, but I can't even really say that. I mean, more like a minute used here by the attackers to clear out those roamers. And Laxing going to be inside of that garage yet again. He didn't do as much work from here as he was hoping to. He did get a kill, of course, on the entry initially. But after that, his push to red hallway was thwarted by Pojo in the previous round. But unreinforced garage wall. Oh boy. Red hallway is now a danger zone, and you can see that SK aren't even playing anything around it. It will be opened up from the drop down, very likely Mark to do that, and he will get a kill right after opening that up onto Jarvis, who is trying to seemingly push the main stairs, possibly. It's looking worse and worse for SK, as now they don't have control of red hallway, and they are a man down.
Yeah, and I mean, you've lost Vigil, who a lot of times the way that they will play Jarvis on Vigil is in a late flank position to possibly jump on an unsuspecting member of the team. Though Cloud9's coordination has been good and, I mean, quite successful so far. Mint gets one in a second as the Ella almost single-handedly trying to keep this round alive for his team. Into the Mark the Shark blender. He'll find some shark bait there as he picks up Nyx, and that's 2 kills. A double flash onto Houghton as Mark's looking for his 3rd kill, though he will flash himself. Laxing takes out Pojo, takes a lot of damage in the process, takes out Houghton, and it's all up to Mint, who has the 2 kills so far. He will need the ace in order to give his team the victory. He'll pick up a 3rd on the Laxing, he'll drop, looks for a 4th, but Mark will give C9 their first victory in the last 3 weeks. And SK loses first place. C9 needed that win, and boy, does it come at a good time. You said it. C9 needed 4 in a row. And they got it. Excellent job.
Just wow. That was an impressive feat for Cloud9, truly. And they're getting better and better at surprising us, I think. Now, that means that Cloud9 isn't, you can't count them out of this season just yet. They could manage to get their way out of that spot now.
Really disappointing performance from SK on defense.
Have to agree.
After how well